that my sword there? How's it going, guys? And welcome back to Katawa Shoujo! I'm just gonna start right away. After buying a plastic plate of takoyaki from the stall belonging to the class next to ours, I take a seat in the school gardens and watch people pass as I tentatively nibble away at the rather bland tasting item. I guess I shouldn't complain. It's better than nothing and didn't cost much. As I look out towards the school, watching the people coming and going proves a surprisingly entertaining way of passing the time as I eat. Little children are accompanied by parents or grandparents scamper about in the din. From event to event, one hand dragging their company to the other bearing an oversized colorful snack. I can't help but notice the age range among the people here is skewed towards the elderly. And I also noticed when I was walking around town. This must be one of those towns where the only people left are those that lived here their whole lives and ardently refuse to leave, and those wanting to live out the rest of their days in one of those few tranquil places. I guess that also goes a way to explaining how conservative Yamaku's school culture seems to be. Not that I mind one bit. I kinda like how calm Yamaku and its surroundings are. The heat, though, is another matter entirely. Sitting in one place for so long has focused my mind on how annoyingly humid it's getting. Not that the hottest part of the day is here. I'm gonna get moving. The sound of the Karelian bells takes me completely by surprise as I stand up. A reaction shared by a few of the people strolling around as well. The PA system crackles to fire after the tolling bells end. Its age shows its principal makes a barely intelligible announcement over. Officially opening the festival.
This is the principal's meeting. Before you fall for the festival, you may have the fluency of the available for the
I think it would sound something like that. It's quite amusing to contrast the pleasant smiles of the older folk against the eternally pained and bored grimaces of their young charges. Students, on the other hand, seem to pay a little heed. Nevertheless, as the address finally ends, all are united in polite, if not overly enthusiastic, applause, and then get back to business. Slipping a hand in my pocket to look as relaxed as possible, I casually glance around for something to do. It's somewhat difficult to see very far with all the people around. I decide to fall back on a tried and trusted rule. Go where everyone else seems to be gathering. Right now, that's the school courtyard and surroundings. Throwing the used plate into a trash can, I make my way towards the school building. Seeing the number of stalls around the perimeter of the school surprises me. Quite a few of the classes must have opted to have multiple stalls. In deciding which to visit first, I sight of a familiar banner with a blue patterned border and red text. Lily's stall is as good a place to start as any. I'm curious as to how it's going after all the work she and her class have been doing. Stepping up to it, I begin to see why the class took so long to organize everything. Easily twice as wide as many of the other stalls, and with equipment for cooking strewn everywhere, it's closer to an outdoor restaurant than a festival event. As the student in front of me takes a bowl of noodles and leaves, I walk up to the counter. The girl behind it seems quite exasperated and asks me to wait a moment before she disappears underneath the counter. Seizing the moment, I take a quick glance around. Steam seems to be rising from everywhere, as pots and pans simmer away. The most blind of the students are unpacking ingredients, while being helped by someone who was probably the teacher of 3 too. It doesn't take long to notice Lily among them, talking with the teacher as she quickly counts out the boxes and packets with her fingers. From her expression and the fact that both she and the teacher seem to be in a state of mild confusion, it appears that there's been some problem in coordination. Before I can stare any longer, the girl behind the counter pops up again, only to look back and ask where the spare change box is. Lily pauses for a moment before she and the girl switch places at the counter, and the teacher quickly walks off somewhere. Sorry about that. We're having a few problems. What would you like? It takes me a second to remember what I come here for. My eyes quickly dart to the side to read the menu sitting on the counter. Oh, I guess some miso soup? Ah, is that his how? Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms as she drops her waitress facade. Somewhere along the line, our order got mixed up. We're trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we needed. Wouldn't serving smaller portion cover over the problem? It seems that that's what we'll have to do, though. I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class is gone doesn't help either. I glanced behind her to see how many people are actually operating the stall. It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left? That's right, she's going to try to round up a few more of our classmates to help. Hearing the sound of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glanced backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in line. Guess I better stop loading around and chatting. Here's the money for the soup. Soup! Oh, right! Coming right up. Lily turns and calls for a bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money. Taking the coins in her palm, I can't help but notice how efficiently she counts them with her long, pale fingers. Eventually satisfied that I hand her over correct change. She puts it in a small metal tray. It isn't long before the soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and subsequently passes it to me. Thanks! I'll come back to drop off the bowl. Thank you, Hisao. Oh, there's one other thing. Have you seen Hanako? Hanako? No? Not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of abject disappointment. It's okay. I was just wondering what she was doing for the festival. You'll come back when you're done, then? Sure. Keep an eye out for Hanako, too. Thank you, Hisao. Where could she be? I walk off to the stall, from the stall, and find a seat, carefully cradling the steaming wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, it's quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be. Perhaps the flavor is enough to cover for them reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as the others. It can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into the school only a week ago. It still weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few students don't really seem to be enjoying the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually, I finish my bowl and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no in line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems that the teacher's mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping. Much of the unpacking has been done, despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they weren't. Lily still appears to be somewhat distressed. Well, it doesn't look impressed at all. I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy mutual friend. Placing a bowl back on the counter, I call out to Lily. Hey Lily! Don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can only see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Hisao. And if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do! Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay? I will if I can. See you later, Hisao. I leave Lily in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. Anyway, I feel bad for leaving her with her. Because even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The stalls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family in the dorms, I thought she'd be there either. Falling blind intuition, I moved against a grain of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of the consideration of the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. And here we go, the picture. Well, it's not like the other picture. This picture is fine. This is not surprising since I'm standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. Well, there's a big chance Hanako would be here. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise. And as soon as I am in the reading area, at the rear of the room, behind the partition desk, I see the top of a head with straight dark hair catching my eye. Hey Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps up in a little shock before slowly peeking over the partition. Hisao? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so I shouldn't be surprised. But it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here, and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with a deliberate, practiced movement. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there's barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know. You look like you were tripping or something. Girl, you tripping balls! A pink blush rises into her cheeks and her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again, when... It's a game. Game? Do you see the floor here? With a bizarre question, the floor looks like any other floor, covered in those tiles made from the square of linoleum. I probably pronounced that wrong. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes. What about it? Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trailed off and her explanation continues. I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty halls. You know, those games kids do when there's like a unique pattern on the floor, then you only step on a certain color, like when the floor is white, but some tiles are dark in it, and you only step on those. Don't act like you never done that as a kid. Even I did it. Those small games. Darker ones. Shuffling her feet, Hanako points to the toe of her shoe, and at the tile is barely a shade darker than the others. But like these ones. Oh right, so these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty. She nods. Oh then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I noticed that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? It's not really loneliness, it's more like a childlike game. I mean, you don't have to be alone to do that. Hey, come on. Even I did it when I was a child. Even when I'm not alone. I'm thinking of something, but now I forgot about it. Oh well. Oh, right. It seems that Hanako seems to be getting more relaxed around me. Even though she's more used to hanging around with Lily. I mean, she seems more, I don't know, used to Hisao? But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the window makes it worth it. While thinking, I walk to the window still and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to the back room home. Would you like some tea? That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Like I said, she's getting more and more relaxed to Hisao. Well, I keep saying me, but as I am playing as Hisao, that still won't be wrong. She gets more and more relaxed around me, and, well, she's getting used to me. Eventually she places a small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there's quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. And because of that, you can forget about the outside. That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold a special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before? A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want? Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. Words that sometimes is so hard to pronounce but so easy to read. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences. Nostalgia for the game taking second place in the matters of hand. I feel like playing chess now. I haven't played that game in ages. I somewhat used to be good at it. For a time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? An honest appraisal, her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age. I guess not. Does Lily play? Really so? She's blind. A bit. Whoa. This is the first time I played against someone other than her. Or she cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Miyamaku, maybe. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? She asked as if she was asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competitions got into her? Sure. No, don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before. Mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Same here. As we're setting up the pieces, there's a noise at the door. Good afternoon. Lily. Oh, hey there, Lily. Are you finished? You both are here. Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round out some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much. We've been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan. Even though she says nothing, I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view of her face, but Lily can't see. I kind of think you just... I kind of think that we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded. It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course. With everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house? Oh, that's right. You probably don't know of it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little in being forced into a conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's the Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table on a preempted chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please lay down. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture onto the school's corridors. The pair leads me through the series of unfamiliar doors, and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. Insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd has faded into a murmur. Strange. I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now. They're probably here to view for the fireworks. Fireworks? Yes, apparently the school puts quite a show. A lot of people come from town to just watch them. Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending into the school. Onto the school, or ascending as the case may be. For the second time since arriving at Yamago, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now that I can barely hear the insistent voice of the festival do I realize how loud it was. How loud it was! I can hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. With a stained frame, she rarely erases her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona, just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the statue's status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we're still in school uniforms. It's like hanging a sound around your neck, challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one that sees this as a stigma. Maybe you get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside. Just an ordinary building with typical signs decorating the entrance. It looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought. Just another generic cafe in the sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without ever knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booth around the walls. But the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? Whoa! The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and we hear shoots up from inside the booth. Yuko. I wasn't asleep, and welcome to Shanghai. Yuko, dressed in a pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses and ruffled hair cast suspicion of her previous statement. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps into my mind. You work here now? What happened to the library? What? Lily? Hisao? Welcome to the Shanghai. And she drops her glasses. Yuko, still waking up, jerks into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process. Hooray! My glasses! As I pick her spectacle off the floor, Lily offers an explanation. Yuko works here part-time as well as the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here. Yuko takes her glasses from my hands, shakily putting them back on. Yes, that's right. Thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There is no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like. But there may be a delay as I will have to make it myself. It's alright, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right. I'll get right onto it. Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us still standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us. I'm sorry, please sit wherever you like. I'll be right back. Following her advice, I lead Lily to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lily, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-backed booth totally separates you from the rest of the room, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All the furnishings, from the cushions and on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lily deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament. So, Hisao, I didn't know you played chess. Well, not very well, but I do know how to play. I suppose the obvious question would be who won? Lily's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm the lording my victory over Hanako. Hisao did. Yes, but not by much. Damn, saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible. Well done, Hisao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at. Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt good to play again. Yes, it did. Hanako fidgets in her hair a little and looks away as she replies. A small smile emerges. It's a little more extreme. It's a little more extreme of a reaction than I expected, but still kind of acute in that Hanako way. It throws me a little off guard, and only Yuko's cataclysmic re-entry shocks me back into conversation. Are you all right there, Yuko? Do you need a hand? I'm fine. I have to do this properly. It's my job. Concentration plays across her fingers while she stares at the tray in her hands, as if simply looking at its contents will hold them in place. And she starts shaking. Sadly, it doesn't prove to all that effective. The cups and sauces slowly dance around, occasionally clattering as they collide with one another. Taking great care, Yuko sets the tray down with the table doing his sum. There! See? Well done. Thank you, Yuko. Yuko's head rockets downwards to her distinctive bow before answering. I could see it. She knocks her head on the table. You're very welcome. Would you like to join us? There's something else I'd like to discuss about that recent order, if I may. BAM! What is that recent order? Oh wait, if you haven't paid attention. I'm gonna leave you guys here. I hope you enjoyed. Well, to the people who already played this game will probably know which path I'm on. Or am I really on a path yet? I don't know. There's probably another question gonna show up that's gonna lead me to what path or whatever. I'm gonna leave you guys with a high five. Someone behind me? I was wondering why it told me to.